neighborhood partnership had a bigger vision than just service to a defined geographic area. Its vision was really to change Oregon.
I've always thought that they had the right perspective at the right time and were committed to making Oregon a better place to live.
There's a long, long road for affordable housing in this state, but neighborhood partnerships leadership's made a big difference.
Neighborhood partnerships has evolved over time, but there is one common thread in all its years, which is helping the most disadvantaged, most vulnerable.
I think we would have been astonished even at the amount of housing and asset development that's been accomplished in 25 years. It's really wonderful.
Going back to the roots of the Neighborhood Partnership Fund, it started as a neighborhood small grants program where the Oregon Community Foundation teamed up with 8 other community foundations around the country to provide small grants to neighborhood-based organizations.
And we noticed that, as satisfying as it was to make those small grants, that it was difficult for people to get traction on long-term change.
The late 80s, Portland was experiencing a recession, and most of inner city Portland was being disinvested. There were about 3,000 vacant buildings and lots. There was a concern about crime, about drug use, about not being a good place to raise families. So the idea was, how can we get the communities to kind of figure out part of the solution?
So we started looking around at some of the things that were going on around the country and really began to learn about community development corporations and neighborhood-controlled entities that could tackle bigger problems.
Neighborhood Partnership Fund, as it was called then, had a vision of bringing corporate people and neighborhood people together to the same table.
We really wanted to empower neighborhoods and residents of neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods, to have control of assets and the future of their neighborhoods.
I don't believe we would have a vital community development industry in the state if MPF in the early days didn't do what it did to actually bring banks, financial institutions, investors, government, community groups together to look at, for instance, affordable housing.
The organization has managed to grow and mature as environment has changed. I think in the early days, the perspective of organizations like Neighborhood Partnership Fund were, we've got a model that we think makes sense and we're willing to fund any community-based organization that's willing to follow that model.
It has grown tremendously from an organization that primarily served the community development corporations and did a good job of that, to one that saw the critical needs that were happening in the community and knew it needed to find a place of greater leverage and greater impact.
To me, that's a sign of a more mature organization that really is looking to make a difference in the communities that it's serving.
Oregon has not always had strong advocacy at the nonprofit level, and Neighborhood Partnerships, I'd say, is one of the preeminent advocacy organizations in the state.
I've seen evolving from being a very hands-on supporter of an industry, the affordable housing industry, tackling issues of homelessness, the housing cost burden, into now paying attention to the importance of policy making and what effect it does on people's lives.
I really appreciated the opportunity to work with neighborhood partnerships around the Bridges to Housing project. And when Janet Bird and Neighborhood Partnerships came in to our project, thank you, Janet, we finally started moving forward. Her ability to work with us all and to develop, stay focused on the solutions that we want, the outcomes that we want, and let each county get there in each county's particular approach was brilliant and critical.
Through its capacity building efforts, neighborhood partnerships are making a difference by contributing to institutions that are here to stay, that are really on the trenches, that are in the community day by day, solving the housing crisis. And neighborhood partnerships believe in them, put faith in their missions, support in the human capital behind those institutions, and help advance the whole industry.
I was very proud of what we were able to do, and I know that it would not have been successful without neighborhood partnership support.
It's always been a pleasure and an honor to work with neighborhood partnerships.
Neighborhood partnerships is about transforming. It's not about the transaction of helping folks that are struggling.
We've stuck with the vision, we've enhanced the vision, and we're seeing tremendous engagement of small communities that we didn't have in the beginning.
And then the thousands and thousands of people who've been helped through asset building, through IDAs, and of course, ultimately, the housing that has been produced.
It is about empowering people. It's about believing in their ability, in their own capacity.
So it's been very powerful vision that's been fulfilled.